I was very fortunate that an auntie of mine where I was growing up had a little clinic, a little village clinic. So when I finished my fourth form in high school, I worked there in that transition before going to uni, and I thought I was going to do medicine, and I was like everyone else excited about it. But I realized working in that clinic that I hated the sight of blood. I just couldn't stand I just couldn't deal with you know like a hospital. So very quickly changed and said I wanted to do pharmacy because I enjoyed that side of things. I really wanted to do pharmacy. I was excited about the medicine side. I used to do the runs from the little village clinic to the big pharmacy in the town to collect medication and so forth, and I enjoyed that piece of work. So I thought, okay, medicine not for me, pharmacy definitely, because I really want to be in the healthcare space, but I don't want to deal with body fluids. So when I went to uni, I applied. When I got the joint admission thing, I applied to pharmacy, but I didn't get in. I missed it by 1 point, and I was frustrated. I told my mom I'm gonna go and do a diploma because I've got the A's, but I'm not getting to the thing that I want. But I was very fortunate, and a lady who I had gone to high school with, the mother was a professor in the university, and she told me about the different routes to be of value to the medical fraternity, and biochemistry was one of them. So I was very disgruntled when I went to undergrad. I hated the university. I was in like the back of the water. I was in More University, but Koilel campus. Like it was really like the other end of what I expected university to be like. But it was wonderful. It was the best blessing because there I wasn't distracted. I could focus, and I started to really enjoy it from the third year. And so when I got my chance after uni to work in Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital, I loved the research experience. Like it was just wonderful. We could ask questions, we could go ask people, we could find out ways of finding answers. And for me, it just felt like doing puzzles. And I was just so excited about that. I didn't apply for many scholarships. I applied for only 3. There was a wonderful professor, 2 professors, Dr. Mayo and Dr. Anino, who are my professors in undergrad. Anino told me, you can apply for 500 things like we did in the past, or you can find 5 that you're really good at and overqualify for them, and then just put all your energy around that. It's a risky bet, but you can choose whichever one you feel most comfortable with. And so I chose the latter. So I focused on 4 scholarships and put in all my effort in being overqualified for them. And that was through my last year of undergrad and during the year after. And so when I applied for the 4, I got 3 out of the 4. And so I was really ready. I was ready to go. And the other one was in the US, one was in Germany, and the other one was Rhodes. And of course, I mean, you don't turn down Rhodes scholarship. I was very surprised when I got it. Very surprised indeed, because I mean, you know the process. We went to this reception at the High Commissioner, and I couldn't use a fork from a knife, and you had to eat like a plate of peas and corn on the cob with a knife and fork. I'm still traumatized thinking about it. But it was very shocking, very strange. And coming to Oxford felt a lot like shocking and strange. Was the 2 words I could use, just shocking and strange. Everything just didn't make sense. And I think in my first year in Oxford, everything that I believed about myself was put to the test. My faith was put to the test. My capacity to understand things was put to the test. I'm a very social person, but there was a lot of, performative friendships. And so my capacity to make friendships was put to the test. Everything that I knew about myself was actually just literally put in a crucible and burnt to see its actual true value. And that was escaping. That was my capacity to learn. You'd always been top 10 percentile in your top 1 percentile in your schooling, and then suddenly you're a nobody. And it was really difficult. So when I met you that day, I could see myself in you. I could literally see myself in you. We had very similar journeys, very similar backgrounds, strong challenges earlier on in life, overcome those and got to the place where we were. And I could see the world was opening up in many beautiful ways, but it was also closing me in so many other ways. And that was difficult. So through the PhD, struggles with a lot of things. My supervisor and I had some difficulties in understanding each other. I failed my transfer of status, That's a big thing in Oxford, because your first year you're a professional research student, and then you have to do this like oral examination to go to the next level. And I failed it, and I knew that was it for me. I was ready to quit. In fact, I wrote my, resignation from the PhD and everything. It was a very depressing time, and it took me a while to gain my confidence back. And I remember going to a conference and presenting and winning in an international conference on the paper that I was working on, antimicrobial resistance. And I sat in a group where one of my core supervisors actually said, how can she win and she doesn't do any work? So there were some real difficult things in that process. And I remember coming out the other end and thinking, if I am ever to be a leader in any setting whatsoever, I will make sure the people who are there know that they are valued. And it was that experience that taught me the importance of valuing individual contributions, because you don't know what people are coming with. Maybe somebody is giving 500%, and to you it looks like 2%. Value what they are giving, understand the context within from which they're coming from. But that was my transition. I knew coming in that I did not want to be a lab scientist with minions running around and all of that. I was very clear about that. What I wasn't clear about is how do I move from where I am. So I thought the traditional route is that you build a scientific career, and then when you've really had an impact as a scientist, then you become a policy leader or something of the sort. But I think I was very fortunate. And again, that's what I mean. I couldn't have curated my life the way it did to meet Kevin at a conference. And we talked for hours. And I didn't know who he was, right? So I was going on in my tirade of, Africa needs this and Africa should do this. And we finished the conversation, and I'm putting him to task about the legacy of research organizations and, and higher education in Africa. And we're having this really debate. And then when we part ways, he gives me his card, and I look at it. He'd introduced himself as, Kevin, I work for Cambridge Wellcome Trust Program in Kenya. I look at the card and he says, the director. I think there goes my job prospect, right? I'm never going to get employed now. So when we come back, and I think I really honor Kevin for this, because when we came back, he said, the things we're talking about, I'm keen for us to try and find a solution for them. If you would be willing, this was just after I submitted my thesis, maybe you can come and we can try and develop a couple of ideas that we can take forward. And so I promised myself, I had just gotten married. I promised myself I'll come and work this for just 1 year and then go get a real job. And 8 years later, here we are. But that transition was really difficult, because I tried to hold on a postdoctoral position while doing AfOx, but I was doing that while starting a new family, and it was really difficult to keep all things going. So I had to make a choice, and for me, I thought I could build a scientific career and eventually end up doing the things that I'm passionate about, or I could just start now